Hi, today I'm going to show you how to knit this cable vest. Let's get started. Okay guys, first of all, please check my description box for all the details. There are related links for this tutorial, especially part 1 video you must watch before you watch this part 2 video, because today I'm going to talk about only knitting part. So if you don't know my plan, you probably don't understand what I'm doing in this tutorial. So there are two big rules. Rule number 1, count every row and follow my instruction. That's all. So let's cast on. Okay, so cast on. You have to use scrap yarn. Contrast color will be better for later. According to my math plan, I made 56 cast. This is all depend on your plan. So everybody has different number. And after you made the cast, you can cut the end tail and you can tie the knot so it's a little bit secure there, and push all the way down to the other side because I want to start on right side. And start knitting stockinette stitch, which is all knit on right side, which is row number 1, and row number 2 all purl. And you just have to repeat row number 1 and row number 2 until your desired length. Okay, now let me refresh your memory. I want to talk about my plan that I made in tutorial number 1. Okay, I made 56 cast and my target stitch count under the armhole is 86, and I knitted it 34 rows, which is 6 inches. And why I stop right there? Anyway, I knitted it top down. Again, 34 rows and 6 inch. And why I have to stop now? Okay, because of the increasing. My target goal stitch count is 86. 86 minus my cast on 56 is 30 stitches total, which means I have to increase 30 stitches total, which is divided by 2, 15 stitches. Each side I have to increase. Okay? And the detail of these 15 stitches increase. Okay? I'm going to get rid of the 5 stitch because I want to add 5 stitches at the bottom of the armhole when I connect back and front. So 15 stitch minus 5, subtract means 10 stitch. I have to increase 10 stitch, not right away, 1 stitch at a time, every other rows. 10 stitch every other row, which means 20 rows. According to my gauge math, 20 rows for me is about 3.5 inch. My target height is 9.5. 9.5 minus 3.5 is 6 inch. 6 inch for me is 34 rows. That's the reason why I stop right now. And let me talk about the increasing. There we go. Increasing row number 1, right side, knit 1 and make 1 right. Using the running thread, hook onto left side. Make sure your running thread is shifting right side and make sure the V shape out front. That's the perfect position for make 1 right. And then knit that V. This is make 1 right. And knit all the way down until last 1 stitch. And let's do make 1 left. And here comes. You have to knit until 1 last stitch. So knit 1 more. And then again using the running thread to increase. This time the other way around. Hook. If I hook that way, shifting right. So this is not the position for make 1 left. You have to pick running thread from the other side, which is front. And then again, the running thread shifting left. This is the best position. And the V shape is now at the back. There's no V connection out front. So you have to knit that V shape and the back piece would be purl side. So you have to put the needle straight in. Okay, that's the way. And then knit back loop. This is make 1 left. And knit last original. Then turn. Increasing row number 2, wrong side, all purl. There's no increasing. I told you knitting 1 stitch, increasing 1 stitch at a time, both side, every other row. That's why I will knit 20 rows total. And I'll show you how to increase one more time. Here comes make 1 right. Picking up the running thread and hook onto left needle and make the running thread shifting right and V shape out front. Then knit that V shape loop, so the front loop. This is make 1 right. And next, make 1 left. Okay, picking up the running thread and hook onto left needle to make the running thread shifting left. And V-shape connection is at the back. The back would be purl side, so put the needle straight in to the back loop, then knit that stitch. This is make 1 left. So again, 20 rows starting on right side. So finish increasing on wrong side. Okay, you finish last increase, then do the wrong side. This is very important. And then now I'm not going to knit anymore for back piece for a little while. So transfer all the stitch onto scrap yarn. All right. And so far, how many rows did I knit? From top to down, 34 plus increasing 20, right? Total of 54 rows. This is very important. After you transfer all the bottom stitch, now come back to top part and then transfer all the top stitch part onto needle now. Okay, just picking up the tub in between, contrast color yarn, and then take those contrast color yarn off. I don't need it anymore. And then I want you to divide by 3 parts, which is both shoulder and back of your neck. Okay, so I have a 56 cast on to start. Divided by 3 is 19. So I divided 18, 20, and 18. So the shoulder part, 18 stitch, and neck part, 20 stitch. And I gotta tell you one thing about my neck. I have 20 stitch total for neck. However, I am going to decrease 2 stitch out of the shoulder stitch. You know what I'm saying? So this is my old vest that I knitted it. So this part is 20. However, I want to create the curve right there. So I am going to take 2 stitch both side. So which means eventually my shoulder stitch count will be 16, not 18. So you kind of have to think about that. Okay? If you don't want to take 2 stitch out of the shoulder part, adjust the number now. All right? So I want to make sure after I decrease 2 stitch out of the shoulder, okay, the stitch count will be 16 stitch for shoulder and 24 stitch for neck. Okay, well, actual stitch is 20. However, I decrease and make it bigger for neck, so I should count as 24. Now start with left side of the shoulder. I am going to create little slope to make vest fit better. So create that curve to decrease 2 stitch, right? And then on top of the shoulder, okay, there's little, down slope right there. Okay, so I am going to kind of knit triangle, use technique called wrap and turn show row. Okay, so let's do that together. It's gonna be 8 rows total. So everybody, same method. All right, so LSR, which means left shoulder row. Number 1, right side to start. So SSK to start. This is for the neck, not the wrap and turn. This is only for neck part, SSK. So I decrease 1 stitch there and knit 2. Everybody same, knit 2. And then yarn front. I am going to wrap next stitch. So yarn front, slip 1 purl wise, and then yarn back. Did you get that? There's a wrap around that stitch. Looks like a purl stitch, right? And then slip that stitch back onto left. Then turn. And row number 2, all purl. Super easy. And turn. Row number 3, right side. SSK to start. I told you I am going to decrease 2 stitch. So this is gonna be last decreasing for neck curve, right? So SSK, slip, slip, knit, and knit until the wrap. So knit 1, and here comes, it's already wrapped there. So I have to unwrap. Okay, wrapping, easy to remember. There's a big gap, the one in front of it. That's a wrap stitch. So unwrap, which means pick up that wrap. Okay, and then pick up next stitch like that, like a SSK. Okay, and then knit 2 together there. There we go. I hope this is thorough enough. And then knit 2. Then wrap. Yarn front, slip 1 purlwise, yarn back, then slip that stitch back. And then turn. So you wrap, and then next unwrap, then wrap. So you just have to keep doing this, but I will, follow through with you, okay? And row number 4, wrong side, all purl. I said total of 8 rows, okay? And then row number 5, again, no more decreasing, right? So knit until wrap stitch, which is just before the big gap, right? So no more SSK, which means I have 16 stitch now instead of 18 to start. So knit until wrap stitch, which is right there. Again, in front of the big gap, so you will know which one. So when you reach the wrap stitch, unwrap it, then knit 2, then wrap for next row. Okay, so this is the one, unwrap, grab the wrap stitch, and then one more stitch next to it, then knit 2 together. That's it. And then knit 2, always knit 2. Then let's wrap. Yarn front, slip 1 stitch, yarn back, then stitch back. Turn around, row number 6, or purl. Easy. And next, row number 7, I do exactly same as row number 5. Here comes. Let's do that together. Knit all the way until the wrap I just made on row number 5, and now I have to unwrap. Easy. Here comes. Okay. Almost there. I am actually increasing many rows closer to the neck. So kind of, triangle shape. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Unwrap, pick up, and pick up next stitch, and like a SSK type, knit two together. And then knit 2. Okay, knit 2. this is going to be last wrap. Okay? This is going to be last wrap. There we go. And then row number 8, or purl. Again, this is the end of left short row. However, there is wrap I just created. What are you gonna do? Okay, don't worry. Next row, which means starting front left shoulder, you just have to unwrap next time you knit, that row. That's it. Anyway, so this is the shape. Okay, kind of slow down, and the left side of the neck is little carve. You know what I'm saying? So now the total of back piece for now, 34 plus 20 plus 8, total of 62 rows I knit. You have to remember how many rows you knit. Write it down. Okay? And from now, I am going to count as front piece. And you have to knit exactly same row as back. So let's do that. The first row of front piece is right side. And remember, I have to unwrap the last wrap. Okay? So this is important. And I am going to just do the stockinette stitch until, okay, the front piece of neck carve starts. And this is completely up to you. If you want to have a bigger, neck opening, you can knit as much as you want. Okay? And after the neck carve done, I move on to right side. All right? So let's finish the left front piece. Okay, let's start. Sometimes you get confused here because of the, the row count. Anyway, this is my first row for the front piece. And remember, there is one wrap stitch left over from wrap and turn. But this is first row for front piece. You really have to count, okay? And here is the wrap, so I have to unwrap it and then knit two together. There you go, that's it. And then finish this row, which is just keep knitting until the end. And row number 2 is all purl. Okay, and you just have to repeat row number 1 and row number 2 until the neck carve starts. And I already decide my neck carve should be 10 rows, which is 5 stitches increase. Same as armhole, okay? 1 stitch at a time, every other rows. So I want to increase 5 stitch to create that carve, which means I have to knit 10 rows. So I kind of have to think backwards when to stop. Okay, so I ended up, I knit 30 rows with the stockinette stitch. Okay, 30 rows, and I'm adding 10 rows for, neck carve. That's gonna be 40 rows. That's how you think, because this is very important. Okay, because back piece and front piece has to be same level. Okay, there you go. I knit 30 rows. And remember, I needed it 62 rows for back piece, right? 62 minus 30 is 32 rows left. Okay? So I'm going to add 10 more rows to create that curve, which means 30 plus 10 is 40. Okay? And now you have to think backwards. At the end of the, armhole increase, that's going to be 62, right? Minus 20 rows, because I need 20 rows to increase that, armhole. That's going to be 42. There you go. That's good. You know what I'm saying? So if I knit 40 rows instead of 30, and then adding 10 rows to, create that curve, that's going to be 50. There you go, which means 50 plus 20 rows to increase, for the armhole, that's going to be 70. Means the front level and back level will be not matched. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful. Now I'm actually showing you increasing for neck curve. Row number 1, knit 1 and make 1 right. And knit until the end. That's it. Okay? The neck curve is easy. Only one side, right? And then row number 2, or purl. And repeat row number 1 and row number 2 until your desired length. However, I want you to finish on right side. So I need to increase 5 stitches, right? So you just keep doing row number 1, row number 2. And then you finish right on the row number 1. Don't knit last 10th row, which is, the wrong side. I want you to stop right after you increase last stitch. So I knit 30 rows from top, right? And 9 rows instead of 10 rows because I didn't finish wrong side. So far, I knitted it 39 rows for my left front. Then let's move on to right side. Okay? And important, you will start knitting on wrong side. Okay? So you have to start from neck side because do you remember you have to, decrease around the neck area? You know what I'm saying? So you have to start with wrong side. That's how you set it up, okay? So transfer the right side of the shoulder stitch, please. Okay, before I move on to my right side of the, shoulder, I want to make sure a few things. Because a lot of people thinks why you increase 5 stitches for neck curve, right? You can actually increase 3 stitches or 10 stitches. The rule is you cannot exceed more than half of your neck stitch count. My neck stitch count after I decrease 2 stitch both sides will be 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12 because, I create the neck curve each side. So I can increase maximum 12 stitches. However, if 12 stitch increase, which means I have to knit 24 rows, right? Which means I shouldn't have knitted it 30 rows if I want to increase 12 stitches. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of have to, think before you started front piece, because the front piece and back piece has to be same level after I increase armhole curve for front piece, right? So you kind of have to think backwards. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to increase more stitch for neck curve, you should stop way earlier. I'm talking about the stockinette stitch. Okay? So now let's move on to wrap and turn, right shoulder. Wrong side to start. First of all, I have to decrease 2 stitch, right? So purl 2 together to start. Row number 1. Wrong side. Purl 2 together and purl 2. Then I have to make wrap stitch next. Okay? So now yarn front, right? So you turn back, 1 slip stitch and yarn front, then slide stitch back onto left, then turn. Row number 2 or knit. It's all same, just difference is right side starting with wrong side. That's it. Okay? So row number 3, wrong side. Purl 2 together to start. Okay? After purl 2 together, purl until the wrap, which is only 1 stitch that I have to purl. There we go. And there's a wrap stitch already. So unwrap. This time I have to do purl 2 together. But pick up the back loop like this, then purl 2 together. Don't worry if you missed it. I'll show you a couple more times. So purl 2 after you unwrap it, and then let's do wrapping. Yarn back, slip 1, yarn front, then slip back, then turn. Row number 4, all knit. It's all same. You think, it's maybe a little bit fast, but don't worry, you get it, okay? No more purl 2 together. Row number 5, purl until wrap. And when you unwrap, you kind of grab back loop, okay? You gotta watch carefully. Here is the wrap, right? Look at the knit side, that's the one, back loop. And hook onto left needle this time. Then purl 2 together. Okay? Then purl 2. Then next unwrap. Wrap. So wrap. There we go. Then slide stitch back, then turn. Row number 6, all knit. And row number 7 is the last unwrap and wrap. Okay? So all knit, turn, and again purl until wrap stitch. Unwrapping on the wrong side, so you have to kind of pick up the wrap from the knitting side, then hook onto the left needle, then purl 2 together. Okay, let's do that together. There you go. Wrap, pick up, there you go, hook onto the left, then purl 2 together. Then last wrap after 2 purl, there we go, yarn back, slide 1 purlwise, yarn front, then slide stitch back. That's it. And row number 8, all knit. This is end of right side shoulder short row. Okay, and again, there's one more wrap to unwrap. However, okay, next row will be my first row of front piece. All right, and as you can see, there's a little slope, and front piece starts wrong side for the the right shoulder. That's the little difference between left and right. Okay, and it's super easy for the front piece and neck carve and everything. You just follow what you did for the left side, right? So anyway, stockinette stitch for me 30 rows, same as left side. And again, this is my first row of the the right front piece. And then there's one more stitch that I have to unwrap, right? So, which is already easy. And this is very important. The right side, starting with wrong side. And I will tell you maybe why later on. Okay? So 30 rows, which means I finish on knit side, right? And then start creating the neck carve. And here comes, I am going to start creating neck carve. But this is the tricky part, okay? I knit 30 rows, which means I finished right side. And my 31st row should be wrong side, right? So 31st row for me is purl, which means no increasing. And 32nd knitting row, I am going to increase. And then I have to increase 5 stitch, which is same as left side. My last, okay, listen, my last increasing will be my 40th row. Please remember that, okay? Because I want to show you how to increase my right shoulder, and I have to increase neck side. So this is arm side to start. So just knit, right? No increasing. Increasing at the end. And easy. Make one left. I already show you how to do make one left, right? So knit until last one and using the running thread. Then make one left. Okay, again, this is my 32nd. There you go. This is make one left. So you just have to repeat row number 1 and row number 2. Again, my last increasing will be 40th row. And I knitted it only 39 for my left. That is fine. Okay, so a lot of people, okay, 39 and 40, it's not the same row, but it will be. Okay, so after you finish, I finish 40th row. Okay, and then the other side is 39, which is 40th row if I start knitting my left. So after I finish 40th row, I add new cast in between, and then starting 40th row, of my left side. So it's balanced out. Here comes, I'll tell you, my left side, 30 plus 9 rows of increasing rows, so 39. And I just finished 39th row, and next will be my last increasing, which is 40th row. Okay? However, this is right because now I am going to connect both right and left. So I'm going to knit 40th row, add new cast in between, and then starting 40th row of my left shoulder. Do you get that? I hope so. This is the reason why I said I have to start with left shoulder. And this is the reason why I said you have to follow my instruction. If I say you have to finish certain row and right side or wrong side, you have to do it. Okay? And there we go. I finish my right side, and now you add new cast in between. How many new cast? Again, back piece and front piece has to have same stitch count, right? And how many stitch I increase for both? 5 and 5, which is 10 stitches increase total. My back piece of the neck is 24. 24 minus 10 equal 14. So I am going to add 14 new cast. Okay, so 24 back neck, which is 20 plus 2 and 2. I decrease 2 stitch both side, right? That's how you figured it out. Okay, I add 14 stitch and then start knitting left side, which is no more increasing. And it's going to be a little bit busy here, okay, after this, because I am going to add cable design. Cable design needs 16 stitch. So I add 2 markers right in the center, and in between 2 markers, I have 16 stitch. And now you have to think about the increasing for armhole as well, okay? So for me, I have to start increasing for arm carve right on the row number 44. So before that, you just have to do the stockinette, okay? And then let's prepare the cable design. Cable design start on wrong side, okay? Which is right after the new cast. So everybody has same, page, which is super easy. This is just the base, okay? Knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 4, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. Just straightforward. Just follow my written instruction, all right? And again, you have to think 2 things about the cable, also increasing for arm, all right? And cable design, okay? I meet you right on the cable design row 4 because everything else super easy, just as straightforward. And then increasing for the armhole, again you have to count kind of backwards if you have to. I have to knit 20 rows to finish the armhole because I have to have same level as back piece. And I count backwards, okay? And then I start increasing right on the row number 44, and which is same as back piece. So I'm not gonna show you, but just follow my written instruction, all right? And meet you row number 4 of cable design. Okay, so row number 4, there is cable knitting kicks in. T3F, T3B. First of all, purl 2 to start. And T3F, which is twist 3 front. Okay? Which means purl stitch involved. And purl stitch always one stitch and always with back needle. That's how you have to remember. Okay? So T3F, which means I have to pick up the stitch and hold it out front. Front means knitting stitch, right? So how many stitch I have to pick? 2 stitch. Because I told you purl stitch is always 1 stitch and always back. So you have to put cable out front means those are knitting stitch. So purl 1, then come back to cable needle, and then knit 2. Okay? And next, T3B, twist 3 back, which means cable needle has to be at the back. Back means purl. Purl means 1 stitch. So you have to pick up 1 stitch with the cable needle and then out back. See, again, back needle has to be purl. So now knit 2 from left needle and then come back to cable needle, then purl 1. Purl is always 1 stitch. That's it. And you have to do twice. So I'll show you one more time. T3F, which means front. So pick up 2 out front, then purl 1, then come back to cable needle and purl 2. Easy. If you remember the rule, it's easy. You don't even have to look at the pattern. So T3B, so pick up 1, hold it at the back, knit 2 from the left needle, come back to cable needle, and then purl 1. And then purl 2 at the end. So next cable will be row number 6. So meet you row number 6. Okay? And again, besides the cable design, don't forget about the armhole increasing, okay? Let's do row number 6. Purl 3 to start, and then C4B, cable 4 back. So pick up 2 stitch and no more purl, only knitting. Pick up 2 and then at the back you can hold the cable, then knit 2 from left needle, come back to cable needle, and then knit 2 from the cable needle. That's it. And then purl 2. After purl 2, I'll do cable 4 front. The difference is where you put the cable. This time front. Pick up 2 and put cable needle out front, knit 2 from left needle, come back to cable, and then knit 2 from cable needle. That's about it. So after this, you can actually follow all the instruction. Everything else is so easy. All right? By the way, if you want another cable design, you can add another cable design. All right? I picked the easy one. And this cable design complete right on the row number 8. So just repeat row number 1 to row number 8 until the connection with the back piece. And when to connect? After increasing has done. Okay? Again, back piece, I needed it 62 row. And now I just finished row 61. Okay? And next will be my last increase row, which is my right side. This is same as the neck carve connection. The connection always has to be right side, because after you connect everything, you need in round, no more wrong side. So if you connect on wrong side, you need wrong side forever, right? So you have to connect on right side. So again, I need 62 seconds of front piece. Now you connect because it's same level now. You know what I'm saying? So first of all, transfer all the back piece stitch onto same needle, and then I am going to add new cast. Okay, how many? 5 for front and 5 for back. And I was supposed to add begin marker before adding the new cast, but I made a mistake. I put the begin marker right in the center of new cast. You don't have to. Okay? So again, I add 10 new cast this side and start knitting back piece. And you knit all the way to the other side and do the same thing. Then connect front and back. After that, easy. So knitting is easy. There's no difficult technique. The problem is counting, okay? But I don't like seam, so this is the best way to knit best. Okay, now I'm actually knitting in round. So the cable design, okay, you have to use my pattern in round. There's the two different pattern. So please be careful because there's no more wrong side. And you have to knit until your desired length. Okay, I think I repeated 10 times for the cable design. It's really up to you. And I add little longer rib at the end. So you just knit round and round and round until your desired length. It's almost finished. So please hang in there. Okay, after this, it's so easy. Don't worry about anything. For the bottom rib, you can change the needle one size down, but I didn't because I kind of want to knit straight down. Because if I, change one size down, it shrinks a little bit, right? Obviously, because, smaller size of the needle. So it's really up to you. However, the rib for my sleeves and neck, I use one size smaller needle. Okay? So the rib is use the repeat of knit 1 and purl 1. You can use the knit 2 and purl 2 if you want. However, if it's knit 1 and purl 1, the whole stitch count should be multiple of 2. And if you want to use knit 2 purl 2, the whole stitch count is multiple of 4. Okay, be careful about that. And once you knitted it long enough, bind off. And I use one size bigger needle. I was using 5.5 millimeter whole time, so now I'm using 6.5 millimeter needle to bind off. This way, a little bit more yarn to use, which makes it a little bit stretchy. I don't really like the tight bind off at the end, the bottom. It's kind of, hard to put it on and put it off. So, stretchy would be better. I already finished the rib for my sleeves. And I'm going to show you how to knit up around the neck, same as rib for sleeve. So the for the around the neck, there's stitch, right? And just transfer all the stitch onto needle, right? I'm gonna use that stitch obviously. And after the stitch, I am going to start knitting up. Okay? And this is one size smaller, so 4.5 millimeter needle I'm using. Okay? Let's knit up. So, how did I do? I knit up 4 stitch straight, and then 1 stitch space skip. That's it. You just have to repeat. Knit up 4 side by side, and then skip 1 stitch space, and then repeat 4 stitch, knit up, 1 stitch space skip, and just on and on around. And then I want you to look this one. When you knit up, sometimes it looks little gap. I don't like it, and you don't like it. Then you pick 1 extra stitch kind of down. So you have 3 stitch on the hook needle, then knit up. You know what I'm saying? Usually you knit up right on the edge, which is 2 thread right on the needle, right? But sometimes there's a big hole because of that. Then grab another half stitch from below. So you will have 3 thread on the needle. Then that's, kind of close the big gap. So now, right here, 1, 2, 3, I pick 1 extra from down below. Okay? So first, I knit up as usual. And then if you don't like it, pick 1 more stitch extra. And still, there's a hole. Maybe you picked wrong extra. So pick the other side of the, extra stitch to avoid little gap. Okay? That's about it. And this stitch count has to be multiple of 2 because I'm gonna use knit 1, purl 1 rib, same as the bottom one. After you knit up like this, the ribbon starts. Oh, by the way, when you knit up, you have to face to right side, okay? And then repeat of knit 1 and purl 1 until your desired length, then bind off. I didn't use the one size bigger needle for neck and sleeve rib. Just regular bind off. That's about it. You know, it's not really complicated, but sometimes it's a little bit confusing because of the row count. So please make a plan ahead really well and start knitting. Okay? So enjoy knitting. Bye for now. Thank you for watching.